Hi there, and welcome to day number 5 in my live stream project from Sara's kitchen garden, Finlandens trädgård in Sweden. It's Friday today, and on my back I have Loa. Hey Loa. He is 2.5 years old, and he is one of my 4 children. Oop. A glove that I seem to have dropped yesterday. Thank you all for watching. It's been such a nice week. It is such a nice week. I have, with this live stream, I have 2 live streams left in this project where I don't write specific blog posts on my 2 blogs, sarabäckmo.com and sarabäckmo.se. Instead, I do live streams from my garden all week long. It's really nice. It's fun to get in touch with all of you and to read your comment and to get to know a little bit about you, and also to share my own garden, of course, my own everyday garden. Benny from Norway watching still today. Hi, and Susanne from Sweden. My garden friends. I had a lovely day yesterday. It was, when I got up yesterday, I could feel that I have a flu, a cold coming on, and Dabedu, I don't know exactly your name, but I'm glad you're here. So yesterday when I woke up, I had a bit of a headache and didn't feel too well, and I worked before lunch. And the afternoon I spent with my children, and when I got down from work, my husband said that I have made the washing up, and so you don't have to worry about that, just do whatever you want. And I did. I put on my working trousers and I went out in the garden, and the children, they had made a fire, so we barbecued for lunch, and then I spent all afternoon in the north part of the garden. It's so nice to be able to carry him. It's good training for me too. Right, so this is where I spend my day. I planted bulbs for flowers, spring flowers, in this bed. It's the banana bed. And I also pulled up some weeds in those raised beds, and here you can see there's a bit of a problem here. Wild animals are coming in the garden at the moment, so they have eaten my kale. It's a lovely green kale, and unfortunately I was too late, so it's no use for me to transplant them and to dig them up and to plant them in the polytunnel. I was like, shit, I used some bad words. Because if I take my time and I grow those plants, I don't want to give them away. So it's a bit unnecessary, I think. So with the kale and the sprouting broccoli in the main kitchen garden, I think I will have to protect them in a way. So I will try to find all my raw covers, and I will simply put them over the plants to see if that could scare them away in a way. And what I also did yesterday, this is my 20 square feet garden bed. I made it yesterday, and there's plenty of videos on my channel about this bed, and I cleared it out to start all over again. Thank you, Susanne, for your nice words. I will try to make a separate video about this bed a year after I sort of created it, because the summer didn't go too well on this bed, and I decided simply to close it up and to leave it, just to let everything die, because this summer was horrible in a way, because we ran out of water. So I mean, you can talk about this and you can make jokes about this, but this summer, I mean, we live 6 people in this house. We have one big dog and we have all the garden beds, etc. And we simply noticed in the middle of summer that our water, it turned brown. It was like tea or like Coca-Cola or whatever. And that is like humus coming up from the soil, and that happens when it gets when the water runs slowly into the ground. So we were very scared, and we actually couldn't wash our clothes for the whole summer. I recently emptied the last bag with like sheets and handkerchiefs from the summer. I mean, so, and I have friends now, they don't have water in their houses. It's extremely, it's very sad. So I couldn't then allow myself to have this bed as an experiment and only to keep it, because. So I decided to let it die. I had a question, but I will show you later on in a new video how I will start it all over again. I had a question in the beginning of the week about the amount of food that I grow in my garden, and I would like to return to that today, saying something about it. Somnade du, Loa? It's nearly asleep. We actually had a nice morning. The small children, they sleep with us, with Philip and me, and Philip went up early to go to work, and the children are free from school. So Loa and I, we slept to 8:30. So nice. But still one can be a bit tired. Me too. Anyhow, the amount of food and how do I think about that? Well, as you can see, I grow quite a space in my garden. If you put it all together, I think I grow about 500 square meters with vegetables and fruits and berries. I didn't plan this area at all when I started. When I started, I simply pointed in this direction because I had a neighbor, and this was 2011, and he said that I can help you get started because I have a machine, and I had totally forgot that he had a machine. So, so that was amazing to me. And he came here, and this place was filled with small trees and raspberries and things that have gone really wild, and it was completely impossible for me to dig with with a spade. So I said yes to that help, and in just a few days I had all this area, and when I measured it, it was about 350 square meter in the open. So all right, what to do with it? And I didn't read any books and how to get started and what you need to get self-sufficient in vegetables in your own garden. I just started thinking that, all right, so this is the area that I have. And I grew plenty of food, and for the coming years, I noticed that this food actually was enough to feed my family with vegetables the whole year. That's amazing. And when I read books now, they say that about 500 square meters, that is what you need to feed a family with like greens. But then most of them don't count with the possibility that you can actually use the space several times each year. I mean, some of the space I have, I can grow it for like 2 or 4 even in the polytunnel crops or harvests during 1 year, and that is amazing. So you basically increase your space by using it several times during one season. And my plan for this garden is, I mean, to use it to produce as many vegetables that I can to feed my family. But I noticed that if I grow this area as effective as I can, as I know how to do it, then we get too many vegetables. So I have reached the limit for how many vegetables we actually can eat in the garden. And when I found out that this was the case, I started to plant more berries. For example, you see behind me there are bushes, and that is the haskap berry, honeyberries, for example. And he just hang on, feeling safe. Over here next to this area where the animals go, I have also planted the haskap berries, and over here you can see there's 15 bushes of blueberries. So this area, in the first year when I didn't have like 2 polytunnels and I didn't have the area in the north part of the garden, I grew vegetables here as well. And I do it along with the berries now when the bushes are not that big, you know. But sooner or later I will have to plant other things. So what I do in the garden is that I fill it up with all the things that I can come up with. I know I have a few vegetables that I know we can eat pretty much all that I can grow. And that is, I showed you the self-sufficiency. I am not sure if it's self-sufficiency or self-sufficiency. I have to check that up. That we can eat as much as possible, nearly. And carrots, of course, celeriac, and tomatoes, spinach. I can grow, well, plenty of spinach, and we'll eat it. Tomatoes, until this year I thought that we could eat as much tomatoes as, you know, I could ever grow, but this year I think we have reached our limit with tomatoes. There are tomatoes pretty much all over the place, and I am getting tired of tomatoes, but I will keep them in the fridge and eat them, of course, in winter next spring. Susan asked me, what is the vegetable I mentioned first? The self-sufficiency or self-sufficiency. It's svartrot in Swedish. Long black roots, and they are so valuable because I can keep them in ground all winter, so I don't have to harvest them and to store them in a specific way. They store themselves into the ground, and that is the same with the white self-sufficiency. I think it's called the mammut, and that is havrot in Swedish. It looks like a big carrot. I am looking for a spade now. I can actually show you how it looks. It's an ugly vegetable. I will go get a spade. Well, so I have located a few of the vegetables that I know that I can grow plenty, and I do. And what I have noticed then the last couple of years, when I noticed that we have reached the limit of how many vegetables we can eat, then I started to plant berries and fruits, because that is what I know. I know that we can eat. I mean, we have 4 children, you know. They can eat like jam and berries. We had pancakes yesterday, and it was so nice. I just went to the fridge and I picked up what is the name for that? Vinbär. I don't, maybe some of you watching know vinbär. Well, it's a berry, and it's quite an unusual variety because it's pink. So we had and it's almost white. I go to the wrong direction. I will go over here and I will show you. What do you cook with it? Hannah asked me about the salsifi. What do I cook with it? I use all kinds of root vegetables, pretty much like potatoes. Here is the white one, the white. I will try to dig it up, show you. Guess this one is a pretty small one. Oh, someone has been eating it. Look, no, that was an ugly one. Check this one. So I use all this type of vegetables as potatoes, and I use it baked in the oven or cooked or fried or in gratin. I don't know how to say. This is red currants. Thank you, Benny. Currants, yes. But actually I have currants that are black and red and green and white and pink. So it's 5 varieties. And yesterday we made a jam with currants that were pink, and they are they're pink and white in the same way. I can't describe it really, and it was delicious. Right, so this is the one. Check this. It's not a black one. It's a white one. It's similar to the black self-sufficiency, and you can cook it and eat it. You know, as a potato, you could bake it in the oven, you can make a soup, and you can fry it, and you can use it in all the different ways you use potato. So I think in my family, when I make, let's say for example we are doing meatballs, and it's a very traditional Swedish thing for children. So I made meatballs, and then I want to have the most I think it's very common to use like mashed potatoes with it. But I don't say I make mashed potatoes. I think I make a mash and with root vegetables, and the children never knows what's in it. Because it could be like the celeriac and potatoes, it could be potatoes and parsnips, it could be potatoes and the salsify, for example. Could be plenty of things. So I use it the same way. Oh, now he's falling asleep. Check that. Baby. So what I try to do is I grow my area and I divide the kitchen garden into different sections, as I said. So in this section, for example, I grow the brassicas, and then I know that we cannot eat. It's not possible for us to eat if I grow, hearts. Like Savoy cabbage or pointed cabbage with pointed heads, etc. We cannot eat that much that I can fit in this area. So I have to grow plenty of things that I can store in the freezer, for example, and that is the sprouting broccoli or broccoli. So I choose carefully what to grow, and I have, like when I have the empty spaces that I don't know what to grow, I always grow spinach. I think spinach is one of the best vegetables. It's very healthy to eat a lot of spinach, and it's suitable for a spring sowing and a late summer sowing, and even a fall sowing. So it's very, very useful for me. And I think also that maybe a bit provocative to say so, but I don't really care if I grow a bit too much. I mean, the only thing I waste really is are the seeds that I buy, and of course that is a waste, yes, but it's also, it gives me, as I said yesterday, I feel powerful, I feel alive, and I feel healthy when being outside in my garden. And I could spend that time or that money buying a gym card or whatever to spend my time in the gym. I could go for playing golf or whatever people do, and diving. And I think when you are out in the garden, when I am out in my garden, I spend less money and I spend less like resources that affects the climate. So if I have this vegetable that I didn't manage to harvest in time, for example, it's been damaged, I don't really care, because it goes back to the ground as well. I don't drive it away to a place to take care of it. It's decomposed in my own garden, so I don't really mind. But actually most things in the garden that I managed to grow to become like a healthy vegetable, it's potatoes and cabbage and whatever, we eat it. We eat it, we eat it, we eat it. So we eat plenty of vegetables. And I believe that if you come here this time of the year, maybe you could look at the space and thinking that, oh, but there's so many things that will not come to use in this garden. But actually, I am being very careful with choosing what to eat and when, to sort of save things for a certain time in year. So, for example, all the brassicas in this part, they are very hardy. So I don't have to worry that they will die and be destroyed. Instead, I eat those things that are not as hardy. And I leave, look at this. It's a lovely Savoy cabbage, for example. And if I treat this good, it will last in the kitchen garden if it's not been food for the deers, for example. But I can keep it until January, so it's no rush. I don't have to eat things. Instead, I try to eat. This is a lovely vegetable that I have plenty of, and it's a cross between the black kale and broccoli, and its name is broccoli. And you eat the leaves. We had it in a salad bowl the other day, and then we eat broccoli. It's lovely. And here are celeriac, not the root celeriac, and this one is keeping very, very healthy even though it's late in the season, and it has kept well even though we have passed many nights with frosts. So I will soon harvest this, hopefully after this weekend. I am going away for a trip this weekend to have public speech, and in Monday maybe I will manage to do this. So I then harvest all the leaves with like stalks, like parsley, celeriac and other things, and I mix it together to almost like a sauce, and I mix it with salt, and I dry it, and I get the most lovely, tasteful vegetable salt ever. So if I should give an advice to someone who is new to gardening and would like to garden and harvest plenty of food, that would be to really use the area that you have instead of thinking about what kind of area you should have. I mean, if you considering being like self-sufficient in greens, in vegetables, for example, and you read a book that says that you need to have 500 square meters, and you check your own garden and shit, I could only come up with like 200. Oh, so it's no use really. And I get to meet so many gardeners, so many people who want to live like this kind of life, but they have only a small plot in their own garden. And some people, they only have like a small area just around the house. And you could be very, very creative with the place that you have, and you could put up like raised bed just in front of the house, for example. And if you grow that area very carefully, you can actually come up with so many fantastic vegetables to harvest all year round. So I think it's more a matter of thinking in a right way than always getting the biggest area, for example. He's snoring. Sometimes when I have my PMS problems, this is where I want to spend my time. I want to sit like this, back of my husband, just almost being on a horse and just feeling safe and loved and being taken like round and round the garden or in the house while he's making things. Yeah, I am actually very surprised that this garden could produce this much food, and I thought I will come back to fertilization tomorrow, and talking a bit about that. I guess that I would be a bit unfocused with carrying a child and talking at the same time, so I thought I would save that part for tomorrow when I can be more focused. But I mean, it's there are so many things that I worried about when I started this garden, and one of the things were, of course, that I didn't think that my area would produce enough food so that it would be like worth the effort, and now I see that I could produce so much more, really. And the last couple of years I have had quite a busy time because I have been working quite a lot with my job, and I have had children. We have 4 children, and they are, as I said, they are not going to preschool, and they don't stay at school when school is over. As a daycare, they go back home, so it's always, we have to be one adult at home all the time. And when you are at home with the children, you cannot manage to do all the things that you can do when you are alone in the garden. So if I used this space, I mean, as good as ever, I would be able to grow even more. So I am still very amazed that it's possible to do this thing. And actually, I think that if people only knew the possibilities, I think more people would like to grow their own vegetables. It's not often that we have like guests for dinner or so, but when we do, everyone say and comments on the food. They say, "Oh, it tastes really nice," and what is it? And I say, it's only nice. It's nice vegetables with a taste, and people don't often think about that it's actually a difference in taste between the things that you can grow your own in the garden and things you buy in the store. So it's so nice, and I can go on with this forever. It's talking about it because I am so enthusiastic about it. It is amazing. It is. I sometimes get the question from like journalists. I made an interview yesterday, for example, for a magazine talking about winter gardening, and I mean, I got the question. So what is the thing that pushes you? Where do you get your energy? And those small people, they give me the energy. Watching them eating from the garden all day long, and they eat even when they are outside, when they are playing in the garden, and also when they are having dinner and breakfast and lunch and whatever, they eat vegetables and they like it. And they always ask me, so is this from our garden? Did we grow this? Or the fruit, did we buy it? No, I don't want to have it. It doesn't taste as good as the things we have in the garden, for example. So it's just amazing. It is just amazing to have this space. I will now finish, but before I do, I will turn the camera and I will just walk with you around the garden. I'm a bit afraid that it's too windy to hear what I'm saying, but just so that you can see a bit of it. And afterwards, when I have finished this, I'm going to... Yes, see you tomorrow, Benny. Bye bye. After I have finished this, I am going to harvest spinach to do like pancakes with a stew with spinach. And then I put it in the oven with some cheese on. It's really tasty. A chair left in the garden. Someone would like to sit on it for a while. Well, thank you everyone watching, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.